So hello everyone, I thought I would try something a little new today. I'm joined by two other Pikmineers, as we like to say in the Pikmin community. Shesez from Boundary Bridge.
Is that what we say?
It is.
I didn't agree to that.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going, everybody?
All the Pikmin community. Shesez from Boundary Break.
How's it going, everybody?
And then AntDude from AntDude.
That's right. Hello, everybody.
And so we just thought we'd try something a little new. It's funny because we've actually all hung out in person on a number of occasions, and we all really love Pikmin, and it's not really come up a lot. So we kind of like...
I think me and you played Pikmin 2 together.
For like 10 minutes. We didn't
That counts.
Get very far.
It's more than me.
So, we just got some Pikmin 3 Deluxe news announcement, so we thought we'd just talk about it for a bit, because, I don't know, why not? And we're going to have to try, like, super hard to stay on topic here, because I'm sure we could just talk about Pikmin in general for, I don't know, 5 hours? It's like my estimate.
A whole day.
Probably 1 hour for each game, and then an hour on the cartoon, yeah.
Yeah. So how about, like, at first, just to like, kind of get it out of the way and like set things up, let's go around and kind of give our thoughts on each, like a ranking, sort of, like a really super brief, like what you think about each game.
Okay.
Kind of like set the stage. How's that sound? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I think 1 and 2 are equal, and 3 is just slightly behind.
All right.
I'm not much of a fan of the GameCube controller, so when I played it on the Wii, I was like, this is amazing. And I think, yeah, similarly, 1 and 2 have different strengths, but I do think they hold up better than 3, even though 3 like probably objectively has the best gameplay. I think 1 and 2 are better.
Yeah, I'm kind of there. Like 3 is the most refined in terms of just like gameplay and how everything works, and it's less janky and weird. I really do enjoy it. I think between 1 and 2, I like 2 the most, just because it has the most going for it, the most stuff, the most features, and it's the hardest. I think 1 is really, really rough around the edges in a lot of ways. It's still very enjoyable, but like it's just so unrefined and so like I don't know. So 2 is really my favorite. And then there's Hey Pikmin, but we don't talk about it.
Man, I like that game. I'm like the only person who doesn't. But now that game satisfied the niche of having a portable Pikmin game, and now it has nothing because of Pikmin 3.
Yeah, I actually have been playing. This is a spoiler. I played it recently. I kind of want to do a video on it, and yeah, I'm not really enjoying it. I don't know, like the Pikmin, like the aesthetic and everything, and the creatures is all pretty great. So like I can give it that for sure. Like there is some satisfaction there.
Sure.
But anyway, I suppose we should get on topic. We have no structure or anything to any of this, and I already made a video about this, so I'm just gonna kind of like sit back and let you guys talk about Pikmin 3.
Okay. Yeah.
That's not true.
It's like, now go.
Yeah, no, sure.
But where should we start?
To be fair, it was expected that this was going to happen. I did Pikmin content around like March or April of last year, because that's when rumors were circulating. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get in as the announcement happens, so I'm ahead of the curve. And then it just a year and a half later, finally. So it's just a matter of, okay, you're just doing another Wii U port.
Honest to God, I didn't think it was going to happen, because it seemed like all the heavy hitter Wii U titles kept getting ported over, and the only 2 games I really wanted to get ported over were the only 2 that were not showing up over these few years, which is Star Fox Zero and this. And so to get this announcement was an excitement all in itself, but the improvements that they're adding to the game is like, I don't know about you guys, but it feels like it checks every single box that I would have thought of if they were to re-release the game.
It's exactly like, it's one of those one of those rare times when Nintendo will just like go that extra mile and hit, like the personal checkboxes where it's like, they're not gonna though, because it's, they can't, whatever, they can't, everybody has different tastes or whatever, but it's like, no, they really like, what did we used to have what could we have that we could add in? It's like, why did they just choose this to just go that far?
Just Funky Kong.
They didn't have to.
That's it. Just Funky Kong. Go.
Right?
Exactly.
Like, and it kind of like, I've been wondering if it's because like maybe they've just noticed that their ports do better when they have a bunch more stuff. And then the ports that don't really add much at all, they sell like 1 million, 2 million units or whatever. Like maybe they were just like, that's the thing, is you have all these Wii U owners who are not double dipping because they have no reason to. Maybe they just thought, like, that's why with Xenoblade and Pikmin, it's like, let's just go for it. Like, let's actually do the thing.
The smartest move they did with this was adding 2-player co-op, even if it's not online, because you can get veterans like us to pick the game back up, and I'm sure both of you have friends that are like, I don't really like Pikmin, it's a little too intimidating for me, or something like that. Having 2-player co-op, having someone that's more experienced than the newcomer coming into play, is going to introduce that person to the series in an organic and fun way, I think. And
well, especially for Pikmin 3, because there was a lot of strategy added by having 3 captains at once. So you couldn't just point to someone and say, okay, so you take this one captain, go there, this one captain, go there while you're doing this. Oh, they're like, it would be hard to really convey all of that. So co-op, yeah, for sure. For newcomers, it'll definitely be helpful.
I think
I'm so baffled by it. I know I'm just so surprised by it that they did it. Like, because that every game, like since 2, it's like, oh, 2 has co-op. No, just in the challenge mode. Oh, well, it's definitely in 3 then. No, just in the chat. Like, why did they decide now is the time to finally do it?
I don't know. I mean, I've mentioned it several times where I felt that, Pikmin doesn't have the audience it really deserves. And a lot of it's through intimidation, like the Majora's Mask situation and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And you're right. The co-op thing, like it does really help. It's going to change the gameplay really, really drastically playing with 2 people. And you can, like you said, if you're playing with a newcomer, you can kind of like delegate tasks to them that are a little less intimidating. Be like, I'm going to go over here. You go back and pluck some guys and bring them, like, I don't know. There's
100%. It's going to be so much fun for people that have played it before because they're going to be able to have that option now working in tandem. And then on the other hand, you have a person that can just, for a period of time at least, just kind of take orders from the person that's more experienced with the game till the point where they're autopiloting, just doing what they know what they're supposed to do. And it's going to change the dynamic completely. And again, like I think the reason why they did this is because 1, now that the hardware is capable of doing it, I think that's the biggest reason. But 2, I think Nintendo understands how smart of a move it is. Like, having more people involved in Pikmin is just going to make a larger discussion about it. And it'll probably do what it needs to do to finally kind of get it off the ground.
Yeah, like that just as a move, it just intrinsically brings in more people,
What I usually end up thinking with a lot of these ports that have additional content, it was similar when they were like adding some stuff to Luigi's Mansion on 3DS. This idea that they're testing stuff out for Pikmin 4, which may or may not actually exist, but my assumption is, okay, well, we have the opportunity to re-release Pikmin 3. We want to do co-op in Pikmin 4. Let's try this in 3, see what people think, and then move on. Because, what's interesting with 3 is there are 3 captains, and you can only do 2-player co-op. I wonder if they're just sort of doing the bare minimum co-op, so, again, they just test what we can potentially see in the future, but that's just my guess on that.
Maybe the hardware can't handle 3 players, because I think there's an article or an interview somewhere down the line where Miyamoto touched upon this. I know for sure he talked about online and how it became difficult in that aspect, but I think like in general, having to re-render an entire screen with so many different Pikmin and stuff like that, and with a larger map than what they have for like challenge modes and stuff where it's much more constraint, I think it just becomes a bigger challenge. And I think that it's very possible that they haven't introduced a 3-player co-op mode for this because it's literally an odd number. Whereas when, you introduce 4, you'll be able to have up to 4 players on the screen at once, which will feel better maybe in the eyes of the developers. But my theory is that the hardware can only handle 2-player co-op at this time. That's just my guess.
Well, that's why I'm wondering why they don't do System Link.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that because it's only split screen.
That would make a lot of sense. But I think that works in the same way as like almost like a local Wi-Fi. And so maybe that's why we don't have online either, is that it's just more difficult to make it work in an online space.
It is hard for me whenever I don't know anything about the actual tech, but like whenever I hear them say things like that, and then you just look at every other, like, well, you can't render that many units at once. It's impossible. And it's like, we've been playing RTS games online since like the 90s.
Oh yeah, dude.
So
a
it's like-
lot of
it's
us are
always
just
a little,
numb
like-
to Nintendo Online at this point.
Yeah, like just looking at what other companies do online, you know, just like I don't know, it's a little silly, but
It's very true.
But I don't actually know what I'm talking about, so whatever.
No, I think that's a very valid point, and I think, well, no, that's a larger discussion. Maybe we should move past that.
It is a
but-
very large. With the co-op, I do wonder exactly how it's going to work if you have 2-player co-op but 3 captains. How like the switching is going to work.
If
So
you look at the
just switch to
screenshots,
the available.
If you look at the screenshots, you get control of one character, and then the idle character is on both players' screens. So
Oh, really?
probably,
Okay.
yeah. So probably what could happen is I could be Alf switching to Charlie, and now Alf is the idle, and so the second player can now switch to Alf. You know?
All right, just whatever's available, you can. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Oh yeah, the screenshot right there. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Are you guys excited about? I mean, I'm pretty excited about it because I'm really hoping that it adds to what the story was in the original game. But the Olimar stories.
Yeah, that's
Any
gonna be the coolest
expectations
thing.
with that?
It's hard to say. Like, it's exactly the sort of like I don't know. I've been burned enough times in enough games where it's the kind of thing you get all hyped up on, and then you get to it, and it's like some tiny little tidbit, you know. So I'm trying not to get my hopes up too high. I'm happy that it's there. Even a tiny tidbit is cool because it's new. But I really don't know what an extra mission looks like. Is it just a day? Is it
Right.
a 15-minute long day? Is it like what does a Pikmin mission?
Well, I
what
know
is that?
I know like a lot of the plot of Pikmin 3 threw in how Olimar was charting his recording his findings and leaving his videos all about maybe it's just you are doing those things, going to those locations, and then maybe you find a camera and you record the thing that Alf will then find later on. I would imagine that's what that one of them is, but it seems like there is a prologue, which would be that, as well as an epilogue. I don't know how that stuff. I have no idea. The prologue, I'm just assuming you go through the existing levels and I don't know, do things for the first time. I don't know. Like it's again, who's to really say? Because I doubt we're gonna get new levels. There's no way. I don't see that
Yeah.
happening.
The
I'm
weird
curious-
thing is, like, if they're going through an old level, is the fruit there? Can Olimar not get the fruit?
And his
Like, how does
his
he not-
abilities are all the same, also. So I don't know what exactly could be different aside from story.
Yeah, that's what I was
just don't know
thinking too.
how is he gonna function with the world if you're not allowed to collect stuff?
I bet
Like,
you
what
enemy
does that-
placements will be different. And I think I imagine the incentive is going to be story based. I hope.
And I
That's-
hope like
I'm-
a new boss, like maybe like bring back the Emperor Ballblacks, like
Oh,
just something, some fan service, because it's clearly Pikmin 1 and 2 fan service because it's Olimar and Louis. So have something in there. Oh, have the purple and white Pikmin be a part of.
Oh,
that,
that's
maybe.
probably gonna happen.
Granted,
They're
there's-
already
yeah,
granted
because
they're,
they're in
they're,
the
they're
game.
primarily underground Pikmin if you want to get deep into the lore, but whatever, it's a video game. I think just having that sort of difference would make a bit of an impact, but I don't see each of the stories lasting for more than 2 or 3 hours each. Just a little
I'm
extra.
expecting like a 15-minute stage. I'm
That would
expecting
be
like
crazy.
nothing.
The only thing I really hope, and I'm not going to be super disappointed if it's not the case. And actually, when I mentioned it, there were some people on Twitter that felt the opposite of me. So I'm curious what you guys think. But I really hope that these extra missions alleviate some of the ambiguity of the last boss. You know, that never, like, throughout all the lore that you get in the game itself of the original Wii U release, you don't learn a lot about the last boss and what the heck was going on there. And
It's just this weird hoarder of material and stuff.
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get that. I think Nintendo made it purposefully ambiguous, in the same way that the Water Wraith from 2. I think they just like that it's a weird kind of creature that just who even knows where it came from.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna get anything there.
I just hope.
I mean, we might get stuff about the events leading up to it, but I don't expect any additional like clarity.
Right. Okay. I mean, I'm hoping that it has an exception to the Wraith, because yeah, obviously there's a pattern there, but I'm hoping with the difference between the two though is that the Wraith is like a secret enemy that you can find, whereas this one's like tied to the story and becomes the final climax. So I'm really hoping that like with this extra story, there's at least something that can kind of piece together exactly what was going on there. But I will concede that probably you're right that it was an intention and they want to keep it that way.
Nintendo doesn't like lore.
Yeah.
They're quite lore averse.
Yeah.
So my thing is like, this is totally getting my hopes up. And I say I'm not supposed to, and I say I'm a pessimist, but then I still present ideas like this. Prologue, I understand. There are a lot of events leading up to the game that we want to explore. Epilogue, what would really be the point? And then the little guy in the back of my head goes, what if this is like a story thing leading into 4?
Ooh. Oh, yeah.
Not going to happen, but...
What if Pikmin 4 is canceled? This is the end? The epilogue just ends the franchise.
The credits roll and just a big thing just comes up and just says, Pikmin 4 is never coming.
Yeah. Pikmin 4 is now not in development.
Yeah.
Honestly, I might make a bold prediction and assume that the epilogue is going to have a different character. Because in the side story menu, you see Olimar in the prologue thing without the story synopsis of the epilogue. It just shows, like, I guess, a ship careening down to a planet. What if it's like, I don't know, what if the president comes back? What if you play as the
Delta,
president of the company? What if you
unused
finally play as
fourth
Olimar's wife, who looks exactly like him, you know? Olimar's kids, like, I would assume there'd actually be something new and exciting there, which we just might not see for like another month or so, because Nintendo really spreads out these announcements, but that's my guess, because an epilogue, the story kind of wraps up. Just Alf and Olimar go on their separate ways. So
yeah, it is hard to say. It's hard to believe that it's going to be a lot.
I think that was my biggest complaint with 3 was that it didn't, in my mind, didn't have a very satisfying conclusion. It felt like
satisfying, no, but it just wraps up.
Yeah.
Just ends.
Well, that's the hard thing about a Pikmin game. You get the thing that you need to save yourself, and it's like, what else do you do beyond just kind of flying off with some music?
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed the whole, like, the crash landing thing. To me, that was, like, more than I expected. Was, like, a little, like, another piece of, like, lore deepening little tidbit. I thought they would just fly away and that would be it.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
I guess I was okay with the conclusion.
Yeah, I don't know. Definitely there weren't enough questions asked to have an epilogue, so it's definitely very... Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's exciting.
If anything,
it's exciting,
the epilogue
though.
would be them going home, but you don't want to follow them, so there has to be a reason why they would come back.
Right. It's definitely exciting, because the fact that we were talking about Pikmin and the future of Pikmin, that alone is exciting, personally, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And that's what's great about the extra story content, is that it got us, like, even though this is just a port of 3, and the port of 3 might actually mean 4 won't even hit the Switch at all. It might, at all. But it still got us talking. Mm-hmm. It still got us, like, talking about the potential epilogue and prologue and stuff. Like, that is fun. Yeah. I do enjoy that.
I think this is probably, like, a big stepping stone to gauging interest for Pikmin 4, because I don't think the sales for the Wii U version did that well. And, like, historically, Pikmin keeps coming out on consoles that didn't really do that hot. And even the Wii ports for 1 and 2, they came really, really late into the lifespan, and they were also in very low quantities. So the discussion was low, the interest was low.
Exactly. No, this is going to be the #1 selling Pikmin. Like, I bet it's going to get 2-3 million units.
I could say that. Yeah, I never really thought about that. A Pikmin always is just wrong place, wrong time. I never really
That's Metroid, too. Metroid and Pikmin are the same way.
Yeah.
And I just hope that too many people aren't, like, I need to put this out there for anyone listening. You can play 3. You can start with 3. It's stupid that Nintendo isn't giving us 1 and 2, because that would further bolster the sales of 3 and eventually 4. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know, just from a business perspective, not giving us the originals, like, it's silly and dumb, but I've gone on about that plenty. But yeah, start with 3, everybody.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
Totally.
I imagine they'll do a Pikmin 1 and 2 port at some point. That'd be awesome. But yeah, 3, especially with new characters, there's no, as long as you know Captain Olimar exists, and you've played Smash, you know he exists. Yeah, 3's perfect to start with.
Yeah, I would say so.
And it's the most accessible, like, by a country mile.
Oh, we can transition to accessibility. There's difficulty modes now.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
It's another thing I'm trying not to get my hopes up about, because I need a hard mode. It needs to be hard.
Yeah, it's weird how many people just assume that it's just going to be an easy mode. Pikmin 3 is already easy.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
really think that there was a demand for an easier mode. You know?
I always liked the time limit of like the early, like the first two Pikmin games, and there was like a pressure to keep going and getting better at it. 3, the whole fruit system was awesome because the fruit looked amazing and the juice physics was incredible. But
when you add the 2 colors,
dude, it was so good. It's the best looking thing on the Wii U. But you have so much fruit, like 3 days in, you're never gonna get close to game overing. So maybe a hard mode would be like the fruit give you less juice. Maybe an actual potential of failing.
Right, yeah, for sure. Because like at least with the original game, it's like 30 parts, 30 days. If you don't average 1 or more parts per day, you got a problem. You will, but there's a little bit more pressure there, especially the first time you play. Yeah, you're right with the fruit. Like you end up with 80 juices, and like, yeah, there's no possible way. You'd have to try really hard to run out.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like a hard mode it's a given. You know, I feel like they would just advertise it as, hey, here's an easy mode, if it was just easy mode. You know.
With new funky mode, basically.
Yeah, like a fail-safe. But
I just don't know there's so many ways they could do a hard mode and just so many little tiny things. I'm like, what are they willing to do? How much work are they willing to like go into and tweak the game and make an enemy stronger and make the time limit less and you know, the fruit, and like, are they going to, or is it just going to be, you take double damage? You know, it's going to be like Zelda.
I could see it doing the Zelda route. I would imagine bosses would take longer to kill. Yeah, it's hard because everything is so set in stone.
I want the whole shebang. I want everything.
You want everything, huh? I just think that really the best thing they can do for a hard mode, in my opinion, is just make the resources more, not scant, but like they just are weaker, you know? So like, obviously...
Enemies give you less sprouts would be a big one.
Like fruit juice gets consumed double time or something like that. Like something that just makes it so that there's more of a push on your back to strategize better.
Maybe
like
there's
making things twice
less
as strong
capsules.
just eats the time in your day, you know? And it's like, okay.
Maybe there's like less capsules that give you 5 Pikmin of an onion. Maybe you just have less Pikmin in your arsenal. It's not as easy to just restock.
Well, that would work. Yeah, see, these are all very interesting.
I think just enemies
ideas.
giving you less. Like, enemies giving you less would... Because, like, any Pikmin game, you got way more Pikmin than you need. It would be fun to actually, like, it matters when they die. Because that's not a thing.
For me, like, a good hard mode for me in a Pikmin game would be, like, making the resources harder to come by or making them more valuable so that you have more of an incentive to do it. You know, like figuring out the best strategy to get the most amount of fruit in a day, because you have to get the most out of a day, otherwise you'll lose, you know? But like things that will just drag out the timer or shorten the timer, those things, like, I feel like that would just make it less fun for me, but...
You don't want it to be tedious.
Right.
Yeah.
I think a really big one for me, but this would take the most tweaking, and I don't know if they're willing to do that kind of tweaking, but like the game is so forgiving. Like in other games, like a big thing is crushing or eating your Pikmin, and every single Pikmin that got in the way is dead instantly. And in this one, like, you'll have a guy and he's like just chomping down on 100 Pikmin and he'll eat 3.
Oh yeah.
You know, or like just stuff like that, or like stuff that should have killed them, or like when rocks roll over them, sometimes they'll just get knocked down. It's like you could make it less forgiving. And like electricity, it just like, it used to be an insta-kill in 2, and now it doesn't kill them all.
There we go.
It
Now
just
we're
stuns
exploring
them.
ideas that I think really would add to a good hard mode. Like those things,
Yeah, like
kind of
little
just bring it
tweaks
back
like
to
that.
roots. Yeah.
Like, stuff kills you, and if you mess up, they will all die. That's what I love about 2, you know? It's so unforgiving and scary, and it's just great.
I think they could pull it off, because I already kind of played the game trying to be a perfectionist. If I lose 5 Pikmin, I'm going to start the day over again. So
I used to do that. I can't anymore. No.
But anything that actually makes it feel like there's pressure. Like Pikmin 1, you had the pressure of the time limit. Pikmin 2, you had the pressure of not knowing what the level's going to be under you. Pikmin 3 is...
And just a bunch of crazy, horrific monsters.
Pikmin 2's pressure was absolutely taking your Pikmin into a cave and being
and
completely
just having
unsure if you'll
no
make it out
idea.
the other end. Yeah.
12 levels down.
Yeah, sometimes 30, right? I think.
Yeah.
But
I think 12 was the most.
12 was the most? Okay.
I thought it was 15, but I think 12 is the most.
I won't question it at all. I'm sure you're right.
But then
what about the
they're being
lock-on
easy
systems? What do you guys interpret out of this?
So this is my.
I don't know what that means.
This is my
It already
big
had a
worry.
lock-on system.
This is my big worry with
But
this.
this one's enhanced.
I feel like nothing they do with Pikmin 3 Deluxe will make the controls as good as a Wii remote.
No.
Maybe
Yeah,
have
so-
gyro aiming with the Pro Controller. The fact that they didn't say that in the announcement makes me a little worried. All they said was the improved lock-on. I just don't like analog control for Pikmin. So
Yeah.
I guess if it's improved lock-on, cool, because I didn't like playing with the gamepad or Wii U Pro Controller on the Wii U version, so maybe that makes it easier, but...
I hope it's just an oversight for your guys' sake. I mean, for me, I've always just played with the game. I prefer the GameCube controls. So, you know, the things that deviated from the GameCube controls while playing on the gamepad just hampered my experience. And so, with this announcement of this feature, I'm hoping it's speaking to players like me, where it's like in the original game, you could use the C-stick to just kind of manipulate the movement of the Pikmin.
Yeah, Swarm.
The Swarm, yeah. And I'm hoping that with this new enhanced quote-unquote lock-on feature, I hope that, yeah, obviously you still lock onto the enemy, but I'm hoping with the second stick you can swarm again. That would be great. Because that was the one thing I felt was missing.
Yeah, I think they're going to keep it. I don't think they're going to bring back Swarm. And the second stick was for controlling the camera, so I don't know. I don't know.
But when you lock on, I guess it, you know, then all of a sudden I don't know. You might be right. You're probably right.
It is true that, like, with a lock-on, I mean, it's like Zelda, you know, you hit the Z or whatever, and it just centers the camera behind you. You don't need a free rotating camera. You just keep, like, centering it behind you or something.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it
don't
worked
think
in the Wii version. You just kept pressing, like, the Z button as you're pointing, and they just kept centering the camera behind you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We will probably still have the touch controls, because that was a thing that they added to the Wii U one, so that's something. I have not met a single person or heard a single person who's ever used it, but it's probably going to be in there.
Yeah, I suppose so. Just when you're on the menu and you accidentally hit the gamepad, you're like, no, I don't want touch controls. Like, that's my experience with touch controls. I really want pointer controls, but I know that even if they do implement them, it won't be as good with the gyro. Like, gyro cursors, they just get... like, I don't know. It would still be better than nothing, though. I still want them to at least try.
Sure. Yeah, that's my big thing with Pikmin 3 is I do really like the Wii U, but it sucks having these games that basically needed the gamepad. Pikmin worked so well on a single screen before. I just wanted the option to have the entirety of Pikmin 3 on a single screen with these great pointer controls, and I hope we can get some semblance of both of those requests.
Yeah, and I always knew it was going to be a problem, because I'm like, I want Pikmin 3 handheld, and I vastly prefer playing Pikmin with pointer controls,
right.
So I don't actually know, like, it was never going to resolve perfectly, so, I don't know, I might just have to get used to the pointer controls again. But yeah, I don't know, some sort of gyro-enhanced cursor system, but then, I don't know, that's hard. Then the stick and the gyro are at odds with each other.
Yep.
Maybe this new lock-on system, maybe that'll be the magic, and we haven't thought of what it means yet, and it'll just be some sort of perfect. We go, oh, of course.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, if it's not swarming, what could it actually be?
Because
like, what makes it better? Because then it functioned, you know? Like, eventually I was like, yeah, okay, within the confines and the rules of Pikmin 3, lock-on system works, but, like, obviously I just wish swarming was back. So when they say enhanced lock-on targeting system, what are you enhancing?
And what does that mean? All you had to do was point at a guy and lock on. It was fine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe it would auto lock on to like a Bulborb's eye instead of you potentially locking on to any other part of its body, because that's a weak point.
That's an interesting theory.
I don't know. I don't know why they chose that to be very quiet about.
Yeah,
like we at least got a screenshot of the Olimar stuff, but
they haven't said anything in the trailers. It's all in like tweets and on websites across different regions, and it's like, what is wrong with you guys?
Yeah, that was super weird. You know, it's like,
put everything down and put it in the trailer and explain it to us. And well, that's what's a great thing about a Nintendo Direct, at least, is like they'll reveal a game and then they'll like talk about it for a bit and explain its new features. We're just getting these trailer drops on Twitter, and it's just kind of like, you get what you get. And you gotta scout, like, go check Nintendo UK and see if they gave you any other details or screenshots, which is a little frustrating.
Yeah.
I think I think that they really need to. Oh, sorry, I'm getting off topic. I was just about to go off on directs, but yeah, I
Another
agree.
day.
Yeah, another time. Let me see what else. They have enemy balancing changes.
Did it say that?
Yeah.
Where does it say enemy balancing?
What is it?
Is that like on
They're
the
saying that on
European
the
Twitter?
UK website. Yeah.
Of course.
Jeez.
That's interesting. Usually when Nintendo balances enemies in ports and remasters, it means making the hard ones easier.
Yeah.
Just historically, that's like Metroid Prime. Like that's what that means, is taking the... Which is like... Again, it's a very forgiving game, and there aren't a lot of enemies that are like actually super hard. So I'm a little worried about that. I mean, that's where I just have to hope that the hard mode comes in.
It all just seems like they're trying to make things super accessible for new people. Like, that just seems to be about it. Like, Pikmin 3 was definitely... You played Pikmin before? You're gonna have a breeze. This one's probably like... We're probably gonna get a lot of new people to play Pikmin for the first time. Let's make sure they don't want to, tear their hair out.
We're basically...
And that's why
experiencing
difficulty
the same
modes will
thing
be
that-
so...
Yeah, difficulty modes, enhanced lock-on, it says, enemy balancing changes, optional hints, which I think were already in the original game, unless they mean like they just point you in the direction of fruit.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. I mean,
It's
if
kinda like-
they weren't doing the difficulty modes, I would be worried that they were just going to make it more and more easy and more accessible, so that like... That's also a very big discussion for another day. I've been meaning to make a video about it. Nintendo's like difficulties with difficulty, and like they try to make it so accessible that like an experienced player has to try really hard and like limit themselves on purpose to get a harder experience.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm
if they
hoping
can
that's not
actually
the
have a
case
hard
here.
mode.
I think what's happening here is us Pikmin fans are experiencing the Fire Emblem effect, where the game was the games were used to be super hardcore, and it kind of gated out a lot of more casual players. And then they made Awakening, and that game had multiple difficulties. It stripped away certain features that, like permadeath, it made it optional and stuff like that, and it allowed the audience to grow exponentially because it was more accessible. But the hardcore fans were pouting over the fact that they made the game too easy in some respects for new players. But the thing is that so long as they follow that same route, players like us should technically have options to challenge ourselves with higher difficulties and stuff like that, so long as they do genuinely go the same route as the Fire Emblem route. It's just that before...
Yeah, options.
Yeah,
if you have enough options, everybody wins.
Yeah,
Exactly.
having a
I
hard
want
mode is
more
definitely
people
great
playing
for
Pikmin.
us, because like when I look at Tropical Freeze or whatever, it's like, oh cool, love this game. Now I just get to play it again. Cool. Like at least with Pikmin 3, it's like I have to play it again in a totally different way. Like that's exciting.
Yeah, they're really trying here. You can
Incredibly
tell.
exciting.
There's just different ports that you can absolutely just look back on and think like, oh, is it the new funky mode, or is it going to incorporate new modes like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? And this is clearly, I think, unless you guys want to disagree with me, I think this is probably the most amount of effort I've ever seen in a Wii U to Switch port out of any of the games that we've seen up to this point.
In terms of like number of different, I mean, maybe Xenoblade Chronicles, because it sounds like it's got a pretty significant amount of extra content.
Well, that was more like a remake, and that was also
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, that
Remaster
came from the
anyway.
Wii as well. So
As far as
Yeah,
Wii U
so
ports
I
go,
think you're
then,
right
yeah.
though. It's got there's a just number of new features and like returning fan favorite features.
Yeah,
and-
also the Piclopedia, we
stuff.
didn't even mention that, and achievements.
Right, yes.
That's just all thrown into one tweet here too, which I think is a big deal, because boy, it sucks not having the Piclopedia in Pikmin 3, because that's like the best part about Pikmin 2. It was so funny.
It's super fun. I still don't know if you're going to be able to like interact with them, and that's what was so fun about it, because there's no button for it, but it could be that you have to like full screen them to do it. That was kind of how it was in Pikmin 2. Have you noticed that on the picture of the Piclopedia, it shows like a character select?
Yeah.
oh yeah,
What does
so
that mean?
there was okay, there's a reason for that, and I know what the reason is. And Nintendo doesn't want you to know the reason for this, not yet at least.
The truth.
It's because each character will have a different commentary on each.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
what
because it's
happened
going to
was-
ultimately be Olimar and Louis at the end, and Louis is just going to say, I want to eat it, like every single time, and that's great.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, one of the social medias mentioned, like, oh, and you'll hear Louis talk about how he's going to cook each one. And then they, like, very quickly deleted that tweet, so it became pretty obvious that it was just leaked information that they leaked themselves. So
it's very interesting how much they're trying to incorporate Olimar and Louis as characters, which, if you want to go deep again, does that mean that we are expecting a collection of the first 2 or a 4? Like, they're trying to bring them back as characters, and how does that serve 3? It doesn't.
I think,
Three has its own
in terms of
characters.
getting it accessible to newcomers, Olimar is definitely the face of the franchise.
right.
So,
I suppose because of Smash.
It's kind of like
who plays Alf in Smash? No one. Like, no one plays Alf in Smash. Like,
a lot of
so
people forget that he's even there. Yeah.
yeah, Olimar is definitely the main face of the show.
And I think they realized that was a mistake going into 3, was like making him a side character, and it kind of weakened the brand to an already weak brand. And I'm sure that introducing this, it could have been one of two things, in my opinion. It could have been that they're recognizing that Olimar's the face and that they just need to kind of use him as a marketing tool. But I like to be a little more optimistic and think that this is content that they intended to make, because it still felt like 3 was not wholly complete, and they did intend to make extra content, DLC, but it just, the interest wasn't really there, I felt.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that the
enough.
big stuff that they were probably planning to make just never made the cutting room floor, and this is their opportunity to finally introduce it.
It could be this prologue and epilogue were literally always planned. It could be like they had this stuff like half done,
Right.
and all they had to do was like pick it up and finish it again.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, very possible.
Because, I mean, Alf, Brittany, and Charlie are fine characters. I think Brittany is adorable and one of the best additions in the franchise. That's just me personally speaking. She's precious. But I don't care about Alf. Alf ruins a lot of the stuff in the story. Like, he just crashes the ship like 3 times, and that's like his character trait. He's not a great character.
Yeah, he's kind of just like a guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do like Captain Charlie though.
Charlie has that
He's
sweet mustache and a little bit of a mohawk. He's dope. Alf
I
sucks.
think Charlie's the coolest character out of the game. I think that Alf is necessary. I think he just is kind of like the Avatar character, just the blank slate that can get the player along. Me personally, I don't like Brittany that much. Not as much as you, at least.
I just think she's precious. So that's my whole thing. She should have been in Smash instead of Alf.
Yeah. I think if we're going super deep in this discussion,
Okay.
it is like a little bit sad what Louis has become.
Yeah.
Just this
He's
joke.
like a mindless zombie now.
He was very weird in 3. Like, I guess at this point, do we count the story as spoilers? Because now it's a new game again. There's parts of the game where he's in and he like never says a word. He just sort of sits there and then
tries to steal their food.
He definitely was misrepresented in this game for sure. But like, yeah, that was just something I very quickly got over. It was distracting a little bit. I definitely took notice to that. I was like, he went from an incompetent employee that had like a deeper, darker side to just an incompetent boob. But like, you know,
who doesn't even seem like he can function in everyday life. He's just like, he's like a caveman.
Yeah, it's very strange. And then like, especially in contrast to Olimar, that stayed pretty well on brand, I felt. It just made the contrast, it made the difference between him and 2 that much more obvious, you know, that much more stark. But
So maybe with this extra content, maybe we'll actually get to see Louis being real and being Louis again, because we get to probably control him if you're controlling Olimar and Louis again.
Oh, that's a guarantee.
Oh, that's going to be
Just
awesome.
with the Piclopedia alone, you can just automatically assume that at least something of his former self will reintroduce itself here in this deluxe version. You know,
it's gonna feel so good playing an HD Pikmin.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
Like it's the
talking
old
about it.
All right, so that's one thing I want to
excited.
ask you guys. 720p was the highest resolution on the Wii U version. Do you think we're gonna get a bump? Yeah.
I think that's the bare minimum
1080p?
to
I would
expect with
assume
these
we
Wii
were.
U.
I don't know why we wouldn't, because the Switch is more powerful. But have you seen those trailers? They look super jaggy. I don't know if we are.
Well, I think
Dang.
that's just how the original game looked. Like the floor textures in that game were always not good. So I never expected them to polish up that. Okay. I just imagine it'll probably just run at native 1080, but I don't think anyone really noticed that much unless you're like a tech analyst.
Yeah, well, I think it was like one of the big things about Pikmin 3 going onto the Wii U for me was like, oh, I'm going to have it on my HD TV. I'm finally going to be able to make out the faces of the Pikmin, which was not a possibility in the past. And the jagginess when I picked up the game, I was fiddling with my TV settings for like a solid 20 minutes, hoping that there was just something wrong with my settings. And that wasn't the case. It was aliased, and the resolution was just low. So like, you know, obviously it was a better resolution than how it was back in the day, but I was kind of hoping that would be a level of clarity that would only be delivered by a 1080p HD TV experience, you know, and it just wasn't there.
Yeah, I'm all about the resolution. I don't know. I just based on the trailers, I'm not so sure. They look pretty jaggy. But I mean, every other Nintendo game, even ones that look incredible, you know, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they're all coming in at 1080p. So I don't know what would the problem be if they didn't. Well, especially because now they don't even have like the gamepad. Or anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was the thing that held a lot of Wii U games back, because they had to keep rendering out stuff for the main screen as well as the gamepad screen. Once you eliminate that, it just gives them more resources to work with.
Yeah.
Well, I hope. I mean, I didn't study the trailer.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Absolutely.
What I'm hoping, with a lot of the trailer seems to have been put together kind of cheaply, and I'm wondering like if because a lot of them almost like, even like on the website, I was looking for some nice like high res screens to like use as a background on my thumbnail or something. And even on the website, it's like one picture of like Alf and some Pikmin, and it looks like it's zoomed way in. So it could just be they're like, well, I took a bunch of video and I had to zoom in so that the UI didn't show up. And that's how I did the trailer. Because I don't know, it could just be like, it's just not a well-constructed thing.
Was that a new song used for the trailer, by the way? I didn't quite recognize it.
No, they used like
the old one.
It was like the credits song, I think, or like a boss battle theme was there at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Unless it's something, unless there's, again, maybe some new song for the prologue, epilogue stuff, but I don't think so.
Okay. No, I don't think, I mean, I don't know. Like the dramatic music
you're
talking about?
Yeah.
Because I do know the da 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 da, like that's the exact trailer music from before.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I recognize that. But at the start of the trailer, there was like some more grandiose theme that I couldn't pin down. I didn't really recognize it. But
it could just be one of like the themes from one of the scenes, like the Venomoth or what? Not the Venomoth, the Fossbat.
Yeah.
Mixing up my Pikmans and my Pokemans. It could just be one of those, just like from a point in the game, because there are a lot of those. Like, you know, all the bosses, they go up and it's got a little cutscene and there's like, a little dramatic music. Yeah, I don't know.
I realized also it doesn't say anything on the website, but I hope the photo mode is still there. I forgot that was a thing for a second.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, it's there.
It is there? Cool. Yeah, because obviously no Miiverse now, but posting all that stuff on Twitter will be really cool.
Always wanted to use the photo mode. Always felt there was just too much pressure to keep moving to ever stop and use it.
Oh, yeah, I never, because it's Pikmin. I gotta keep moving.
Sure.
I'm not gonna...
It's just so pretty.
Yeah, it's... Yeah.
I mean, trust me, I'd love to. It's just... Pikmin's not a stop the smell the roses type game. It's just like...
Yeah. It needs to, like, pause time or something.
I agree. I think that would be a great feature. That's definitely not...
Or, like, you can go into a level in photo mode and, like, nothing matters and it doesn't use up any of your resources. It's just, like, photo sandbox mode.
You know, it'd be a great spot to add that in? Piklopedia.
Hey.
Yeah. Wow, yeah. I think the photo mode in general, like, it didn't... I mean, I've talked about this before, how, like, we used to have Miiverse, and now it's just social media in general, because Nintendo realizes how powerful that is. And so this is yet another reason Pikmin is going to finally get another chance, is you're going to have people with all these screenshots and sharing them on Twitter and stuff. It's not going to be as big of a thing as, like, Animal Crossing, but that's just another little thing that's just like, yes, like, that's a good part of the strategy of getting people talking about it and playing it, and, like... Because sharing on Miiverse, like, you mean sharing with other people who already own Wii U's and the game?
Right.
What's that accomplishing? It's fun, but...
Yeah, for sure.
They saw the folly in that. They were like, oh, well, why are we making our own social media? Like, let's just throw it onto Twitter. Although I really do hope they stop steering so hard into it. I hope that they do both with directs and social media. We'll see. But...
Yeah.
I think the thing that I'm the most excited about with this is the Switch for me is very much a multiplayer console, because I have a buddy who has a dock. I'll just take my Switch, bam, put it in his dock, we're playing this full game. With Bingo Battle now being this openly accessible thing on Switches for multiple people who own the game, dude, oh my god, I really want Nintendo to just push a whole lot more how good Bingo Battle is.
Never really played
It's
Bingo
pretty
Battle.
good. I haven't played it a lot, but I can tell that it is good.
It's so good.
It's got a bunch of like one time I booted it up just because like I don't know because I'm so starved for Pikmin at all, and then I'm like, there's a bunch of stages in here I've never seen before because they're not in the rest of the game, so just to like experience them.
Totally different mechanics as well. It's so fun. It's so hectic. There's no online multiplayer, which I think they could have probably done that fine with no online co-op, but multiplayer would have been nice. But that's the thing I'm really excited about.
They can't even run simple games. They can't even run Mario Maker, so they're not going to be able to run Pikmin with 100 Pikmin on the screen.
You're right.
Their online is just terrible.
Yeah, you're right. But it's like I always thought, the multiplayer in Pikmin 2 was really good. I thought Bingo Battle in 3 was fantastic, but the chances of me having someone over and be like, I'm going to turn on the Wii U, and my buddy's already out the door, like, it's not going to happen. Might actually have a chance to play with a lot of people this way. So that's exciting to me.
Yeah. And that's another social thing. That's another reason this Pikmin has such a higher chance in general of just success.
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling it now, guys. 2022, EVO. We're going to have Pikmin Bingo Battle.
I'm fine with that.
On the bracket.
It's going to become a massive
It's
thing.
the most unskilled game you could play. There's like no real... Just go and hope for the best, and it's awesome. But,
Is that all the new features we've gone over?
Yeah, I mean, there's the achievements, but how much can we really say? It's just achievements.
Yeah. Find all the kinds of Pikmin. Get half the fruit. So I don't know. I'm hoping. I said this in my video. I'm hoping there's like, I don't know, just like a few other like harder things or like
beat the game in 15 days.
A certain amount of time.
Don't lose like more than 10 Pikmin in a playthrough, something like that.
Yeah, some more of that hardcore stuff.
And hopefully you unlock stuff with it too. That'd be nice instead of just a picture of that little bulb orb.
Yeah, because I'm like, there's only so many Pikmin games, and you can only play them so many times. So, like, even the tiniest changes that give me any... Because, like, I'll just play it again and again with no incentive other than to play it again and again. Even just stupid achievements are enough to get me to just want to do... Like, other games, I don't like tedious, dumb achievements. But with Pikmin, like, I'll make an exception. I'll do anything. I don't care.
I mean, I was willing to play this game with no extra features. So, the fact that they have...
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I still would have bought it again.
Yeah,
even if I didn't have a channel, this is one of those times where like, no, I would have done it. $60, who cares?
Yeah, take my money.
Yeah, I guess that's the only other thing is, are you actually upset about the $60 price tag? Because for me, I didn't expect anything else from Nintendo.
Right? No, I don't. It's
dumb,
not even
but
something that I can get upset about over anymore.
No,
they charged $60 for Tropical Freeze when it was initially $50. Yeah, I totally saw this coming.
I think I mean, it is a bigger discussion. I might even be making a video on it. Like, I hate that they removed it from the eShop because they had the selects one and it was 20.
Yeah.
Like, that's messed up. But in terms of like pricing this one, no, like I didn't expect anything different. I don't like. No, I just can't. I try. I'm trying to get outraged about it, and it's like, and like even just the quality of the game. It's an amazing game. Like, yeah, it's an older game, but like if it never existed and it's only just now, like say this is a brand new game. They never did Pikmin 3. They're doing Pikmin 3 now. That's a $60 game.
So like, did they, remind me real quick, did the other ports price at 60?
I think maybe besides, I don't think Captain Toad did, but Tokyo Mirage did, I'm pretty sure. Donkey Kong did.
Mario Kart 8.
did. Yeah,
Mario Kart did.
All right, so like that's
if they weren't selling, they wouldn't keep doing it.
Yeah, the thing I hate most about this discussion is that why are we now having this when the most underrated game out of that whole library is the one that's up to bat? You know, it's like, why are we having a nihilistic discussion about it now when you could have had it about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you know, way back then? It's like, we should be focusing on the positives with Pikmin 3 because it needs the boost. It needs to finally have this audience that it's so deserving of up to this point.
Sure.
That I feel like the whole $60 discussion thing is just noise, you know?
Like I'm all about getting outraged. I love like calling out Nintendo when I hate something, but like it seems so like beside the point now. And like heck, I know like, you know, corporations aren't your friend and all that. So, yeah, corporations aren't your friend and all that. But like, there's still a kind of a sick part of me that's like, well, this means Nintendo's going to make more money on this game, and they're going to be like, hey, Pikmin makes money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If people are buying it at $60, maybe this whole Pikmin thing will work, and we shouldn't wait 9 years between titles. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ears open. Everybody listening. This is our goal. This is what we need to do.
It seems
build up
like
our Pikmin army.
This is more than just a Wii U port. It does seem like it could just be overall a net positive for the Pikmin franchise. And then they're gonna HD Hey Pikmin, and then the series is dead.
They need to bring in 1 and 2 though.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So
well, because that would need work. Like, they probably didn't need to do work for Pikmin 3 because it's like just a Wii U port. Right. But I would love if it wasn't just a port. If like the game's running in an emulator, like if they did proper HD if they did what they did with Xenoblade for Pikmin 1 and 2, like that'd be amazing.
Yeah, like total remaster. Oh, that'd be incredible.
Gimme.
And then port Pikmin short movies, because those were cute.
I actually, it's one of those things I just put off for a really long time, because for a while they were charging for them.
Yeah.
And then I was like, later, I'm like, oh, I could watch them on YouTube, and I just kind of never did, and it was actually pretty recently that I watched those.
They're cute.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
They're cute. The problem with them is that they mess with the lore, the canon, an awful lot. They bring up a lot of weird questions. So I'm like, are these canon? Are these real? Do Pikmin sometimes just devour the skin of a Bulborb for some reason without taking it back to the onion? Like, what was that?
Yeah. It was a lot of... I loved them so much. For
and
those
white
reasons.
Pikmin? White Pikmin can spit acid? When was that a thing?
Yeah.
You're just inventing stuff now, and you're freaking me out here.
I loved it. I was like, that was weird. Oh, that was weird. Oh, man. Were they trying to broaden an audience with these things? Because that was weird.
I mean, isn't
also funny how
isn't the first cartoon the Pikmin fear that they're going to be eaten alive by Olimar?
Oh my god, it's so dark. Yeah.
Well, they give the Pikmin... because in the games, they have a little bit of personality, but they seem a little bit flat, so it's not as bad when they die. So then if you look at these shorts and you're like... Oh no, they have personalities, and they have a fear of death, and it's like that makes it a lot harder to play the games.
Oh, I always had a hard time when I first started playing Pikmin. I was like,
oh yeah,
they're dying.
For sure. That's one of the things I love about Pikmin. It's an emotional connection.
It turns you emotionless. That's what it does. Eventually, you play the game so much that you're like, okay, I can sacrifice 20 here, no problem. I'll be able to.
This boss is easy if you just shove everybody at him and he eats them all.
That one scene from Brawl when Falcon comes in and just kills like 30 of them, and Olimar's like, all right, that's it, I guess.
That is Pikmin by definition. I loved that scene. I was like, and for people that didn't play Pikmin and they just had to experience that for the first time, I was like, that's what it is.
These cute little things, and they die all the time.
Beautiful.
Well, that's good. I suppose we've gone over we could just keep talking about Pikmin as a whole forever. We're already starting to get off topic, so maybe we should consider wrapping this up.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
I think my main hope, I'm always the pessimist. Mostly just going on sometimes Nintendo will deliver a product and it'll be like, wow, you really knocked it out of the park. And then sometimes they'll hype up something and then you get it and it's just not quite what you expected. And so it's funny that you brought up Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as a good example of having a lot of extra content, because for me, that's an example of a game where they hyped it up with returning features that then didn't pan out and ended up not really being a selling point for me at all. Hey, we're bringing back the battle mode, but it's always timed and you can't take off the time limit. And I go, oh, well, it's not fun. I just literally never play it. Hey, we're bringing back 2 items, but you can't switch them, which removes the stress. So, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm hoping doesn't happen here. We're bringing back the Piclopedia, but it's limited in this way. And we're bringing in difficulty modes, but they kind of suck.
Oh my god, yeah, we can do another 30-minute discussion about the evil genie aspect of all of this. It's 2-player co-op mode,
just a
but
big
the second player just gets to throw fruit on the screen. It doesn't really get to participate.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's like Captain Toad that you just throwing radishes or whatever.
Yeah, again.
So I don't know. I hope it all pans out, and I hope it makes it a legitimately better experience that refreshes my desire. Because I already replay the game once every 2 months, so
wow.
I don't know.
It's going to be
would
my
be
first
nice
time
to
since
just-
launch. But, like, yeah, 100%.
No
This is going to
way.
be an all-new experience for me. There's two things I'm going to do. One, I'm not going to look at the map at all this time because I felt like that really detracted from my experience. I don't remember the environments that well as a result. And two, I'm going to be playing the entire thing with a friend. And I guarantee that's going to make the whole experience drastically different from my first playthrough.
Yeah,
Oh, for
that's
sure.
really different. I'm going to be doing the map a lot because I love the Go Here feature.
Yeah, same. I spend like so much of my time with the gamepad in my lap, just like telling everyone where to go and trying to maximize my time. And I would get like some days I'd get like 13 fruit in a day, and I'd be like, "This is amazing."
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Which is funny because you end up spending a lot of time with the game paused, which isn't exactly what Pikmin is about.
Right.
But then you get to accomplish so much, which is what Pikmin is about. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So this time I'm going to add a restraint to myself. I'm not going to use the map as much because it did feel like it made me forget about what the environments even looked like. Whereas with Pikmin 1 and 2, it's like burned into my brain. I can make a map out right now if I wanted to.
Sure.
well, if you're playing co-op, you're not going to need the Go Here as much
That's true.
because you're
Yeah.
going to be able
So
to do
I think
two
it's going to be
different things
great.
at once.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Again, it just seems like
October
a
30th.
net positive all around, and hopefully for the franchise in general. Pikmin 4. Yep.
Hopefully. We hope.
I think best case scenario, we get it at the end of the Switch's life, and I'm kind of like that's the best case. I don't know. I really don't think so. I don't think
Me
it's
neither. Next
coming.
gen.
So yeah, at least we
Like
got
because
something.
like they like to focus. They're gonna be like, this is the Pikmin game on Switch. They're not gonna want to take eyes off of it for quite a while.
Unless it's Pikmin 1 and 2 HD. At that point, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, because those work together.
Right.
Those like they complement each other. So yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining me. This has been fun. We'll see
course.
if anybody watches this video.
This is a 50 minutes on just Pikmin. Yeah.
Something like that. Hey, I gotta bleep that now.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
I didn't realize.
Oh, we gotta start over.
Wait, we can be like, oh man, 50 minutes on Pikmin? Sick.
All right, let's do it again.
Yep.
No problem.
3, 2, 1, clap.
Oh boy.
All right, well, yeah, I don't know. That's it. I don't know.
Play the music.
I don't know. Yeah, I know, right? I don't know what it is about like any kind of thing like this. You never like know how to. It's like you don't want to just stop. You want to like have the perfect outro. So everybody just ends up being like, all right, for a while. You know?
So from Arlo, Shesez from Boundary Break, and AntDude, buy Pikmin 3 Deluxe, not sponsored, on October 30th.
purchase. I'm gonna just corporate chill on this one.
Same.
Just buy it full price. Buy it a couple times.
Just build a chair out of cases of Pikmin 3 Deluxe.
Buy
are we
it
doing?
for a friend. Spend all of your. Just throw money at Nintendo so that we can get more Pikmin games.
Please.
Please.
Okay, bye bye.